Fresh off a 5-1 homestand, the Mariners head to Cincinnati to kick off their first extended road trip of the year. Let's talk about it. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ahoy, sailors. It is Tuesday, April 15th, 2025. This is Tiding Gonzalez and Colby Patnett for the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. And as always, if you want to hear from me and Colby even more and help support the show, you can check out our Patreon. All you have to do to check that out is click the link in the description of this episode. So on today's show, we're going to recap the Mariners 5-1 homestand and talk about where this team is at right now, the things we like, the things we don't like, all that good stuff. And then we'll get you set for the Mariners Red series starting in just a couple hours. But let's start with a reflection on this homestand. Colby, the Mariners take 2-3 from the Astros. They lose a game they should have won, and they win a game that they should have lost. Then the Rangers come to town and they handle them quite well. A couple of 2-run wins and then a blowout win on Saturday. Offense was really cooking aside from that, one bases loaded situation that they had on Sunday that they kind of fumbled. They still got a run out of that on a hit by pitch to Randy Arozarena, but they could have gotten more there. They had nobody out, bases loaded. Yeah. Very typical Mariners outcome there. But overall, the offense was really good. Bullpen was really solid. The rotation was pretty good. Didn't get the sharpest days out of Logan Gilbert and Bryce Miller, but they still gave you, 5 innings, 5 solid innings. And Brian Wu, after what could have been a disastrous start to his outing, cooked the Rangers with 6 scoreless innings after that first inning. He was spectacular. So, a lot of positives to take out of that series in particular. I mean, when you sweep a team and you have a blowout win, there's naturally going to be a ton of positives to take from that. And just from this homestand in general. So how you feeling?
The offense has been good for the last, 8, 9, 10 days now. And we're starting to see them bunch hits together. The batting average with runners in scoring position thing started to go away, that narrative for a brief time. I mean, they're still not great there, but again, you don't have to be amazing there. You just have to be competent there and you're going to score some runs. So overall it was a really good homestand. Obviously you go 5-1 against your division rivals. And I know I'm the guy who keeps on bringing this up every year, but remember that the tiebreaker for these, races are going to be head-to-head record. There is no game 163 anymore. So it's annoying that I have to keep bringing that up, but look at what the Mariners do every single year. Their tiebreaker always seems to be a factor that we have to, factor. The tiebreakers are important. And so winning these divisional games are important because you want the tiebreaker. It's like having a game bonus on these teams, and particularly Houston and Texas. Those are the 3, and Seattle. Those are 3 teams that we kind of think are going to be competing for this division. And you might only get one American League West team in the playoffs this year. The American League is down. Who knows what's going to happen with the other teams? That it's a whole lot of mid right now in this league, and it's only 16 games. We're 10% of the way through the season, so things can and will change. But right now, being 3-0 against Texas, being 2-1 against Houston, those things do matter. You have, right now at least, obviously things can change. You have the advantage over those teams, so that when we get to the end of the year and this thing is being decided by 1 or 2 games, you have that little bonus game that you get to play with. So winning these series against your divisional opponents are huge, not only for the tiebreaker, but because this is who you're going to play for most of the season. So, you're 7-3 against your division right now. That's great. Haven't seen the Angels yet. We'll see them pretty soon. So I think overall you have to be really happy with how the series went. They hit well enough pretty much every day, the exception of that Tuesday game.
Yeah.
But they're not striking
incentives for that one.
I was. I was also in attendance for all 3 of Cal Raleigh's homers.
There you
So suck it. But yeah, it's the Tuesday game's kind of the outlier because like they're not striking out all that much, except for Tuesday when they struck out 19 times.
go. Yeah.
So they're drawing walks. They're starting to hit for more power. I believe they're. We looked this up yesterday. I believe they're top 5 in home runs in baseball. They're top 5 in walks. So
They're definitely like top 2 or 3 in stolen bases.
yeah. So they're getting on base at a decent amount, mostly via walk. They're stealing bags. They're hitting homers. And I think probably the sneaky heroes of the homestand was the bullpen. Like after kind of a rough first week, the bullpen's really settled in. It's not perfect. They're still trying to throw Trent Thornton in these high leverage spots. He has no business pitching in. But yeah, other than that, the bullpen was really good this homestand. So I think that's a positive. And we're seeing guys like Carlos Vargas emerge as legitimate middle type of guys. And, Gabe Spire looks incredible right now. And so does Rios. And so, yeah, the offense is clicking on the homestand, the starting pitching. Not bad, but
Are you concerned at all about Bryce Miller? He has reported soreness. He is going to start tomorrow. He's been pushed up. They didn't give him the extra rest day that the off day yesterday created. They've instead chosen to skip the 5th spot in the rotation. Of course, they would the week that I'm actually going to see them play. When I was initially lined up to see Luis Castillo, Brian Wu, and Logan Gilbert pitch, but whatever. Yeah. Shut up.
Oh, boo. Woe is me.
Yeah.
But Miller, it's been pretty clear this year that Bryce is not 100%. Like it's been obvious. The fastball command has been terrible. And so he really is trying to kind of like grit his way through the lineup. And, he's done a nice job. He's given you a chance to win all of his starts, but he's also only going 5 innings, and to get through 5 is an absolute grind.
Yeah.
He's hanging some breaking balls on occasion, but the fastball command, he's falling behind a lot, and that is not Bryce Miller. We know what Bryce looks like when he's healthy. He's pounding the strike zone. The fastball has, it's probably a 65, 70 grade fastball when he's going well, and right now it's probably a 40 because the command and control of it is like a 35. Like he's really struggling. The velo's drop. So yeah, I think he should be a little bit concerned because of he's dealing with like a legitimate, not injury, but he's dealing with like there's something physically wrong that is preventing him from reaching the ceiling we know he's capable of reaching. So yeah, I think you should be a little concerned. I guess if you're looking for some cope or some good news on that front, the fact that the Mariners aren't concerned enough to not have him pitch every 5 days and to not have him throw, 100 pitches in those starts. You kind of trust the Mariners when it comes to everything pitching related. And that includes keeping guys healthy and development and all of that stuff. So the fact that they are at least confident enough to throw him out there, maybe that's a good sign that there's nothing seriously wrong and it's just kind of something he has to work through. But yeah, it is a bit concerning that in April, he's already dealing with this and the velo's down. And again, it's really the command of the fastball. And it's obvious that he is not 100% right now. It's been obvious in all 3 of his starts that he really needs the fastball command to get ahead. And then he can go to work with his off speed stuff. But right now he's just kind of grinding through these lineups. And again, give him credit. He's doing enough to keep you in this game and to give you a shot to win all of his starts. But yeah, it's very clear that he is not 100% right now.
Yeah, his whiff rate is about the same right now. His first pitch strike percentage is about the same as it's always been, but end zone contact rate against him right now is up 7%. 90% of the time right now, opponents are making contact on pitches inside the zone off of Bryce Miller, and as a result, his called strike rate is down by about 4% from where it was last year. So something to keep an eye on there. But all right, let's talk a little bit more about what we like about what we're seeing from this team right now, what we don't necessarily like about what we're seeing from this team in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is once again brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are almost here, and FanDuel has given new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking my favorite team or diving into player props. From three-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. So let's talk a little bit more about this Mariners ball club so far through the first 16 games of the season. They're 8-8. They played pretty well over their last few games. Obviously had the 5-1 homestand. Again, the offense played pretty well over the course of the homestand, particularly in the sweep against the Rangers. And we're seeing some positives from this offense. It's a weird offense, though. We'll get into why in a second here. But the good or the positives I'm seeing out of this offense right now, they're fourth in walk percentage and they're eighth in hard hit rate right now. Or actually, they're tied seventh in hard hit rate and they're eighth in barrel percentage. That's typically a pretty good combo to have. If you're taking your walks, you're working at bats, and you're also making quality contact with some regularity, right? But also, they're the only team in baseball with a sub 80% in zone contact rate. So they're whiffing a lot on pitches inside the strike zone. They're also fouling off a lot of pitches inside the strike zone. So again, missing cookies, whether they're swinging through them or just fouling them off. So they could be doing more damage than they are right now, which you could take as a positive. You could also take as a negative. This team is actually really good at identifying which pitches are strikes and which ones aren't. They're second right now. They have the second lowest called strike rate against, but they also are whiffing a ton at the moment. Again, both on pitches inside the zone and a little bit outside the zone. But it's mostly the pitches inside the zone that are killing them at the moment. But they're also making things happen on the base pass, like you mentioned. They are third right now in stolen bases. They're top 10 in home runs. They are 22nd in runs scored, which is the name of the game. So that needs to increase. And the runners in scoring position situation is rough.
Yeah.
Still.
We should point out, though, that Seattle is always going to rank lower in runs scored than their offense produces, as weird as it, because they play half of their games in the most difficult hitters ballpark in baseball. It is the ballpark that suppresses runs more than any other. And so the raw run total is always going to be lower.
And they played 13 of these first 16 games at that ballpark. Yeah.
Like scoring 4 runs at T-Mobile Park is like scoring 5 or 6 at Great American Ballpark. Like it's hard to do, right? So yeah, the raw run total is always going to be a little misleading for the Mariners just because they play in such an extreme ballpark. Which is why, WRC plus is a category that we like quite a bit because it does factor in the ballpark.
Yeah. Right now, in terms of WRC plus, the Mariners are 13th, tied with the Baltimore Orioles. Just below the Giants, the A's, the Blue Jays, and the Dodgers.
Yeah, 13 of the first 16 were at T-Mobile, and it's not like Oracle Park is some hitter's paradise either. So we'll see. I mean, obviously, they're definitely going to be in some great hitters parks over the next 10 days or so. But we'll see. Whatever. But yeah, obviously, the Mariners are swinging and missing in the zone a little too much, which honestly makes their strikeout rate being middle of the pack pretty impressive because they're not expanding. Like you said, they're very close to controlling the zone, one might say. Sure. Once they start doing damage on those pitches in the strike zone, then I think they've reached it. So yeah, and that's the thing, right? The walks, those are sustainable. Is JP Crawford's 22% walk rate sustainable? No, probably not. That would make him Juan Soto, walk-wise. No, but is a high walk rate sustainable for this offense? Yes, that is something that is repeatable. It's sustainable. Yes, it is. Is the strikeout rate sustainable? I don't know. they have guys who swing and miss a lot. They also have guys who don't swing and miss a lot. So I think the strikeout rate's always been a little bit of an overrated thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, right now that's not an excuse. Like you can't say, oh, they're striking out too much. No, they're
Yeah,
not.
they've only had 3 double-digit strikeout games so far. And like you said, because they have kind of a balance of high strikeout guys and low strikeout guys, they're probably going to land somewhere in the middle of the pack.
Right, and they have a lot of streaky hitters: Cal Raleigh,
Yep.
Julio Rodriguez, Randy Rosarena. They're all pretty.
We just saw it. We just saw it. Like, Cal and Julio had really good series in San Francisco. Kind of nondescript series against the Astros. Aside from the one double that Cal had, and then the Gametime double that Julio had, and then both of those guys had really good series against the Rangers. I mean, Cal had an insane series where he just basically took the whole thing over. But yeah, even Julio had a really solid series against the Rangers. But yeah, so that's just going to happen. I mean, like Randy, outside of the Gametime hit on the Sunday game against the Giants, had a pretty bad series down in San Francisco. Then he was the hero of that final game against the Astros. Like, it's just they're kind of just passing the baton right now in that 1 through 5.
Yeah, I mean Polanco's been steadily good, but Master Pony has had his moments. Luke Raley has had his moments.
Yeah.
Heck, even Rowdy Tellez had a moment.
Sure.
So yeah, it's one of those things where you do need to get more consistency in your offense. They're still very much susceptible for going on runs where they struggle to score 2-3 runs a night, and that's a problem. That's not how you want to build your offense. But it does feel like the floor is been raised a little bit, just based on how Polanco looks and how Julio's looked early on and all that, and having Randy for an entire year. Imagine that helps. But what's pretty impressive is they're still stealing bases at a really high clip, and they're doing it without Victor Robles and Ryan Bliss, who are probably their 2 most gifted base stealers. Not their fastest guys, but probably the 2 best base stealers they have. And they haven't had them, and they've still ran. I mean, heck, Jorge Polanco and Mitch Garver have a stolen base. Like, we talked about this. You don't need to be an elite offense to win a lot of games in Seattle.
Yeah.
So they just need to be competent, and they need to have some consistency. So far, they've been competent. The consistency part, they're still working on it.
Yeah. So the bullpen has been pretty good overall. I mean, they had a really, really nice series against the Rangers. They were a big reason that series went as well as it did for the Mariners.
One guy didn't have a particularly good series against the Rangers, but
but right now they're sporting a 3.05 ERA, 3.78 FIP, 3.81 xFIP, 7.20 Ks per 9. So not striking out a ton of dudes right now. 3.32 walks per 9. And they're doing this. So they've had so many questions in the bullpen. They still do, by the way. It's not like all those questions have suddenly been answered. But it does seem like maybe guys are starting to figure out what their roles are. Dan is starting to figure out what guys' roles are. I mean, he's still trying to force it with Trent Thornton, but whatever. That's a whole nother discussion. So that at the very least is good. Like we're starting to kind of see how the pieces to the puzzle are fitting in the bullpen. We're starting to get clarity, and now they've added Troy Taylor. They should have Matt Brash here in the next couple weeks. We'll see on that. And they're doing this while pitching the 3rd most innings of any bullpen in the game right now, which is impressive given what our expectations or our concerns were heading into the season with this unit. But also, that is kind of a negative that they are throwing as many innings as they are right now, with the questions that we do have about this bullpen, because bullpens are finicky, could just give way at any moment. And again, there's still a lot of uncertainty here. So frankly, Mariners starters just need to get deeper into games. They just haven't really done that yet. And I mean, like, you even look at the Rangers series again, like Bryce Miller and Logan only went 5. Now, look, they're human. They're not going to go 7 every single time that they go out there. But so far to start the year, seen too many, and this is obviously greatly emphasized by that number 5 spot and Emerson Hancock and Luis F. Castillo not being able to give you really anything that role. But yeah, Mariners starters for the most part to start the year have not gotten deep into games, and that's really hurt this bullpen.
Yeah. The bullpen's held up pretty well. They do need to strike more guys out. They need to miss more bats. That is absolutely true. You would hope with the addition now of Troy Taylor and the eventual addition of Matt Brash that would go up naturally by itself. But you do need to miss more bats if you're going to be a bullpen. Missing bats in high leverage spots is kind of the name of the game. But yeah, overall bullpen, despite being overused, overtaxed, has been solid. And even Trent Thornton has had some good outings mixed in with some really, really bad ones. So they do need help. But again, Taylor hopefully ready to go. He's been added, and then Brash hopefully by the next homestand sounds like a real possibility for him. Hopefully those two guys stabilize. Then we'll see. Obviously injuries are going to happen and all that stuff, but right now the bullpen is kind of Gabe Spire and Munoz, and then it's a whole lot of like throwing the ball pretty well right now. So I guess like it's Vargas, it's Santos, it's those type of guys, and you're just kind of like, we'll see. But the Mariners bullpen, one thing that they are doing right now that is totally sustainable is they're getting a lot of ground balls, and
they're number one right now.
Well, you don't want to, you want to strike guys out if you're a reliever. Like that's what gets you paid, and all of that. That's where no damage happens to you. If you have a lot of ground balls, that's better than a lot of fly balls and a lot of line drives. So it's one of those things where it's like, look, you want guys, you can't be a good bullpen and strike out 7 guys per 9. Like that's not going to be sustainable. But if you can get 55% ground balls, that certainly limits how many strikeouts you need. And Gabe Spire's a big ground ball guy. Colin Snyder is a big ground ball guy. Bizzardo, Santos, those are all big ground ball guys. So that part is sustainable. And it does now make a lot of sense to have Ben Williamson on this team. If you're going to go, this ground ball heavy pitching staff, then having an elite defender or near elite defender at third base is really going to help, particularly because second base, Dylan Moore's not out there.
Yeah.
It's a little bit iffy, and first base isn't great, and shortstop is above average slightly defensively. So the bullpen, what would help the bullpen more than anything right now is Mariners starters consistently going 6 innings. Prior to Brian Wu going 7 the other night, the Mariners had one other pitcher go 6 innings or more since April 3rd. So even with Wu, the last 12 days, Mariners starter has gone 6+ innings only twice.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah. So, and that's just not what you expect out of this rotation. And again, look, these guys are human. You can't expect that they're going to give you that every single time out. But they're definitely not giving it to you as much as, I think we all kind of were hoping for and we're expecting have come accustomed to, right, with this rotation. So, but also this rotation didn't get off to necessarily a great start last year either. And then, they turned into what they ultimately turned into.
Yeah. I'm still not worried about the rotation.
Yeah. So, all right. Hey, the Mariners are kicking off their first real road trip of the year because they only went down to San Francisco for 3 games.
Went really
last
well.
week. Yeah. Yikes. So hopefully this one goes a little bit better than that one. They start things off with a trip to Cincinnati. I don't really want to remember the last time they went to Cincinnati. We'll just move past that. Hopefully this series goes a lot better than that one. Let's just say that. At the very least, it's coming at a very much lower leverage point in the season. So yeah. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But first, a reminder: this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by PrizePicks. Baseball season is in full swing, and there's no better way to get in on the action than with PrizePicks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With PrizePicks, you pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, and if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. Whether it's strikeouts, RBI, or first inning runs, PrizePicks keeps every game exciting. Building my lineup is easy, and this week I'm picking Aaron Judge for more than 1 home run and Shohei Ohtani for more than 1 stolen base. It's that simple. Setting up a lineup takes less than 60 60 seconds. And when you win, your payout is quick, safe, and secure. I always take advantage of Taco Tuesday, where Prize Picks offers discounts on select player projections for even more value. Download the app today and use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. Mariners and Reds kick off here in a couple of hours from the time you're probably watching this. It's going to be Luis Castillo going for the Mariners tonight against Nick Lodolo. And for Castillo, hard to believe this is the case because the Mariners have faced the Reds 6 times since the trade, but this is the first time that Luis Castillo is facing his former team since the trade happened. And it's going to be at his old home ballpark. And Luis is a much different pitcher than the last time he pitched in this ballpark. He was a very changeup heavy pitcher back then, and now it's more. I mean, this year it's more like sinker slider for Luis. So really interested to see kind of how that works out. But he's going up against one of the worst offenses in baseball up to this point. The Reds have been dreadful offensively. Right now they rank 29th in batting average, 28th in on-base percentage, 27th in slugging percentage. They are tied for last in WRC plus, and they are dead last in hard hit rate by far, by like a good 3% or so. So on paper, pretty good opportunity for Castillo to continue the hot start that he's on. But Nick Lodolo countering him tonight, and Lodolo has only allowed 3 runs in his first 3 starts. So probably going to be a pitcher's duel tonight, I would expect. And because I just said that, game's probably going to end like 8-7.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Why wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Luis needs to continue to get a lot of ground balls. Obviously, it's a bit of a bandbox down there in Cincinnati. So anything in the air is potentially dangerous. Lodolo, lefties, been a bit of a problem for the Mariners. Their right-handed platoon bats are only playing against right-handed or left-handed pitching. So it's kind of tough for them to get any kind of rhythm or anything like that. So you look at a guy like Solano, who they should probably cut. He sucks. Am I right, Ty? Solano and Garver. You look at those guys.
Well, the problem not only is that they're only going up against lefties, which is severely cutting into their playing time.
Mm-hmm.
The lefties that they have faced are like Jeffrey Springs, Nick Lodolo now, Tarek Skubal, Framber Valdez. Like, what are we doing here?
The one break they've gotten against left-handed pitching this year is they faced JP Sears, who kind of owns them. Right. So,
yeah. And
I mean,
look, and again, I like Garver. I understand more now with the like Jorge Polanco can only DH right now, and he's only going to hit from the left side. So like, obviously you're not going to take out Polanco against the righty, but like Garver in general, especially once Polanco is able to play in the field again, seems like that's going to be the case here in the next week or so. Once that happens, like Garver should get opportunities against righties because he's not a splits guy. Donovan Solano isn't a splits guy.
Right.
Like he should get some opportunities against righties. I mean, one of his 2 or 3 hits that he has this year came off of Brian Abreu.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like, there's no reason for either of those guys to be riding the bench against right-handed pitching when Rowdy Tellez is getting at bats.
Yeah.
For as much fun as it was to see Rowdy hit a homer and attempt to get a triple.
Yeah.
As much fun as that was, dude still stinks. So
14 WRC plus.
Yeah. And Solano and Garver have no history of needing protection against right-handed pitching whatsoever. So we're going to see Solano tonight. We're going to see Garver tonight. I don't know what's fair expectation for them, considering this will be their first game started in like a week. But we'll see if they can produce anything. And it's a little bit unfair to judge them as being failures when they're not playing nearly enough to prove anything. I also assume we see Ben Williamson at third, and yes. I assume we see Dylan Moore at second. So probably no Miles Mastrobuoni. So right now, lefties present a kind of a problem for the Mariners because Jorge Polanco can't play against them right now. Yep. And Mastrobuoni is one of your better hitters, unfortunately, right now, and they're not going to use him against lefties. So yeah, lefties are a bit of a problem. Luke Raley's probably going to have to play against a lefty because of how the roster is built. So, I guess they could play Miles at second and use Dylan Moore in right field for Raley. But either way, there's going to be a lefty who probably shouldn't be facing a lefty in the lineup tonight. And that's kind of a problem with the Mariners in their roster build right now. They really need a right-handed bat. And you hope it's Ben Williamson, but Ben Williamson should be playing just about every day anyways. So, we'll see how they want to handle all this. But yeah, lefties are a bit of a challenge for the Mariners just based on their roster build right now. And on top of it, Lodolo having a great year, and he's a really good pitcher. So it's might be a little bit of a tough night at the ballpark for the offense, but we'll see. They roughed up Jacob deGrom. They roughed up Kumar Rocker, who had all this hype coming in, and they destroyed him. Like, they've hit off of good pitchers before, and we'll see what they can do. But yeah, the lefty thing certainly is a problem. The Mariners are going to struggle against left-handed pitching for a while. The Reds today activated Austin Hayes and Matt McClain off the IL. So a couple new bats going to be in the lineup. They also activated Alexis Diaz. So Reds closer returning. And they ironically today send down Noel V. Marte, who of course was traded for today's starting pitcher, Luis Castillo. So
man, I was looking forward to the matchup.
Yeah. So there's that, but also a note that is worthwhile because of how much we talked about him. The Marlins DFA'd Jonah Bride.
Oh, wow.
Who is a right-handed hitter who can play second, he can play third, he can play first, and he had a great second half last year. It's off to a bad start this year, so we'll see if Seattle wants to take a shot there. He's better than Rowdy Tellez. Certainly more useful. So I hope that they do
not
take
statistically this year, Colby.
Yeah, okay. You want to talk? Let's look at what they did last year, shall we? Yeah. So Bride, definitely a name to watch. I don't know if the Mariners are interested in him or not. It's just a guy that I thought was, potentially right-handed Luke Raley this offseason. So again, are the Mariners going to be interested in him? I don't know. Would I be mad if the Mariners didn't claim him or didn't acquire him? No, I wouldn't be mad. Whatever. But it is a name that we talked about, and he is available. And the Mariners sure could use some right-handed thump off the bench, and the fact that he could play a couple infield spots also certainly does help. So keep an eye on that.
But yeah, Lodolo, like Kumar Rocker, doesn't generate a ton of whiffs. So again, something has to give here. We'll see if it works out in the Mariners' favor like it did with Rocker. And hopefully they can keep this win streak going, extend it to 5. And, they got Miller and Wu the next 2 days. So got to feel pretty good about your odds in both of those games. All right. That is going to do it for us. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. For Colby Patnode, I'm Tiding Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at @LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Tiding Gonzalez and Colby at CPAT11. That's CPAT11. We're also on Blue Sky. You can follow me at TDG, Colby at MLB Colby, and the show at Locked On Mariners. Have yourself a beautiful baseball day, and we'll see you next time. Peace.